Hello, I'm back. One of the most important things to talk about regarding making this jacket is choosing the right size to give you the kind of fit that you want. The first step is to take your measurements. If you have somebody that can take your measurements for you, that is super helpful. Because they'll give you the true answer because we all can shave like an inch off or a half an inch depending on where we put that tape measure, but it's really important to get true and accurate body measurements. So once you've done that, then it's important to figure out what type of fabric you're going to be using. If you're using a stretch fabric or if you're going to be using a woven fabric, you want to make sure that you have just the right amount of ease that you're going to need for your comfort level. This jacket that I'm wearing, it's a cotton lycra. It's a 90% cotton, 10% lycra. It is a knit, and it has loads of stretch. So it has lots of stretch. It's very comfortable. I have excellent range of motion in the whole jacket, but yet it still looks fitted and shapely. But I have excellent movement. If I made this jacket in a non-woven I made it in a woven with no stretch, I wouldn't really be able to stretch my arms like this or drive my car. It would be too tight. So deciding what size pattern to use and what alterations to do is really dependent on the type of fit, the comfort level, and the qualities of the fabric that you're using. So those are sort of the two main things for you to do. You can choose a couple different fabrics and do your measurements and just jot that down. And if you have any questions at that point, you can post them on Facebook or Instagram or email me, and I will look at them and give you some individual tips and hints as to how to choose what size pattern to use and what alterations you may or may not need. So that's the first step. Now that you've taken your body measurements, it's important to take a look at the body measurement chart on the back of the pattern and the finished garment measurements on the inside of the pattern. So I just wanted to say to anyone who bought their pattern a long time ago, very early on, it's going to look the same on the outside, but it may or may not have the body measurement chart on the inside. So it would just be like an extra 2 sheets of this newsprint with information on it. If you don't have this in your pattern, send me an email and I will mail this to you so you'll have it to have with your pattern. But hopefully everyone has this. So look inside your pattern envelope and see if you have this sheet. It is just has a lot of numbers and a lot of text. This is the finished garment measurements for all the patterns. Every time I put out a new pattern, I add it to this sheet. And with the e-patterns, this information is on the website and is also on the website for these, so you can look it up if you don't have it. So the first thing to do if you do have it is to find the fitted jacket measurements, which are right here, or as I said, go on the website and go to the information about the fitted jacket, and there's an area there you can click on and you can print this information out so you have it. So once you have your body measurements, you're going to want to compare it to the finished garment measurements because that's what's going to give you the best advice as to what size pattern to use. So you're just going to subtract your body measurements from the finished garment measurements and see where you fall. It'll give you numbers so that you know the difference between your body and the actual jacket size that looks like you may or may not be using. So once you get those numbers, it's really the next thing to do is look at the fabric. If you're using a stretch fabric or if you're using a woven fabric with no stretch, to determine what the fit will be like. And there's also the perfect sizing worksheet that's in with all the patterns. That's an excellent tool to help with this. So if you need any help with that, again, I'm here to help. So please, send any questions or concerns you have about this issue, and I'd be happy to help personally. But it does get to be a little self-explanatory once you get into using that, so you can so you can determine if you need to do alterations. The important thing is to use your upper bust measurement to choose your size, and then do a full bust measurement so you can determine if you need a full bust adjustment. And there's information on the website how I do full bust adjustments, and there's also some excellent tutorials by other professionals in the home sewing pattern world that have done a wonderful job of explaining them. So you'll see who they are, and you can click on those and decide if you need help with that. But you definitely want to use your full bust, your upper bust measurement to choose your size. That way the rest of the jacket is going to fit, and then it'll allow you to fit your bust perfectly and to leave the rest of the jacket as is, especially the shoulder line and neckline. So that's kind of the most important thing in the sizing. Other than the important thing too is to remember, if you do fall between sizes, this pattern is sized extra small through extra large with 5 cutting lines. Each one of those cutting lines is for 2 sizes, and there's a difference between 2 inches per size. So there's a 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So this pattern, when it's a medium, that's actually for the 12, 14. So those measurements are actually for a 14. So jumping 2 sizes for a pattern that's sized this way is really quite a big jump. It's 4 inches. So after you read the information on the Sew Along on the website, I go into a little bit more detail of explaining that, but sometimes what will work out best is if you just take your pencil and marker and just draw in between those lines, so that you're actually just sort of putting an actual cutting line for the in-between sizes. So be careful not to jump sizes. If one looks too small and you go, oh, I'm in between a medium and a large, and then you instantly go to the large, you really could be making the whole jacket could be just too big. So be very careful about that. And I think that's the most important information that I can give you about the fitting, the planning for the fit and the fabric and the measurements. But please go online, read about it, and then ask any questions that you have, and I'll be happy to help. Getting the right size is very important because we don't want to spend time fussing around trying to fix the fit while we're sewing the jacket. And also consider doing a muslin. I know that no one likes doing that, but it can really make the actual sewing of your beautiful fabric just so much easier, because we really want to answer all these questions ahead of time, the planning and the sizing and the fabric and the fit and all that, ahead of making our jacket, because we want to be able to sew it and just enjoy the sewing, not fussing and fretting and getting frustrated while we're actually making the jacket. So, okay, thank you so much, and I'll be back with the next step.